Welcome to this session for feet, calves and ankles. Now this session we're going to need to use a surface, so a wall is perfect, or if you're in the kitchen then a kitchen counter. It's just going to help us to add a little bit more range of movement to our work, so that we basically end up building more stability and more strength around that lower limb area. So great if you're trying to help prevent injuries through ankle rolling, etc. when you're out on the trails or the roads. So to start with, we're just going to stand so that we've got the wall beside us. By all means you can use it for a little bit of support, or you can just work without it to start. Just to warm up, we're going to do some nice heel lifts up and down. So if you imagine that piece of string is what's pulling you up towards the ceiling and then back down again. And so when we come up, we've got all 5 toes on each side connected to the floor, and we're almost slightly gripping the floor with the toes as we come up. So we've got all of the foot working, even into those little toes. And to start with, we're not letting the ankles roll either side. We're just trying to build as much range as possible. So I want you to get up as high as you can. And that, like I say, have a light contact with the surface if that helps. But just trying to get up as high as you can and then controlled lower. High as you can and then controlled lower. Good. Couple more. Nice. And then we're going to pause halfway. So come up just halfway, and then you're just going to come up all the way and then back to halfway. All the way, halfway. All the way, halfway. So you really have to control that descent so that you can come into that hover position. And again, trying to work with as little contact with the wall as possible. So if you do need it, then keep it light for this first bit. Down halfway and back up. Remember, imagine pulling up from the crown of the head. So we've got those lower abs engaged, we're nice and strong through the center, and that will really help with our balance while we do this. Good, halfway and back up. All 5 toes gripping onto the floor. Good. And then come down, shake it off for a second. And now we're going to turn, no we're not, first we're going to work through the smaller calf muscles. So we're going to do the same thing, come up onto the toes, but then we're going to bend into the knees. And then we're going to lift and lower from there. So to start with, going full range, so tapping the heels on the floor and then all the way back up. Almost skip this. Good, all the way down, all the way back up. And then come just to halfway and back up. Halfway, back up. Halfway, back up. Good. Nice and strong through the center, still keeping that contact light on the wall, but it's fine to use it for a little bit of balance. Good. Nearly there. And by all means, through a session, you could be holding a weight in your hand to make the work harder. That's absolutely fine. If you want to add that challenge, you'll need to move the weight around obviously to different hands. Come back up, shake it off. But yeah, adding a weight is a great way of adding a bit more strength work to it. And now we're going to turn so we're facing the wall. So we've got both hands on the wall or surface. Like I say, if you're in the kitchen, that's fine. And you just want to take a step back so you actually end up in a lean towards the wall. So if you look from the side, you want to make sure you're leaning, taking your bottom with you rather than bottom back here. So think, squeeze your bottom, push your hips forward. So you end up facing the wall, but with the whole body on the lean, like you're like a plank basically, rather than bottom behind. So leaning all the way into the wall. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to lift and lower the heels. All the way up, all the way back down. Keeping that lean, so keep your hips pushing forwards. All the way up, all the way back down. And you want to get as much range as you can. So heels down, tap the floor, all the way back up. Good, let's go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, keep the hips pushing forwards. 2, 1. Come off, shake it off for a second. Now we're going to do the same thing again. You've got 2 options here. You can either do single leg, so we'll do one set on each side, or if you find that's too much, stick with double leg and just do 2 more sets of double leg. Okay, so remember, leaning into the wall, take the bottom with you. If you can, taking one foot off the floor, And then again, heel lift, tap the floor and back. And again, you could be holding the weight in the opposite hand if you wanted to add a bit of work. So that one hand is helping you with balance and that lean, the other hand is holding a weight. Good, let's go for 10. Keep that lean, keep the hips pushing forwards. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now either switch sides, or if you're double leg, just shake the legs off. And we're going to go again for the last time on this forward lean. So hips press forward, lean into that wall, lift and lower. All the way down, tap the floor, all the way back up. Keep the hips pressing forward so you're in that lean. And this forward lean just helps us get a little bit more range through that movement. Good, for 10. Lift and lower. 4, 3, 2, 1. Shake it off. Good. Now we're going to go so that we're side onto the wall again. And again, you want to be far enough away from the wall that we can do a little lean into it. It's the same thing as before. When you lean, you don't want to take your bottom the other way. You want to take the bottom with you. So that we go side on like a plank. So lean into your wall or kitchen surface. Squeeze the bottom, take the hips with you. We're going to start off by leaning on the outside foot. So the inside foot comes up. Like I say, keep those hips pressing towards the wall and then coming up and down. So we're doing these heel lifts on a lean, which is why you want the hips not to push out to that side. So up and down. Say if it's not enough of a lean, take the foot further away, push the hips towards the wall and then come back up. So you've got to play around with the distance for you. Try to challenge yourself though. Good, for 10. Good, 4, 3, get the highest heel lift you can, and 1. Now put your inside foot down, take the outside foot up, same thing, push the hips towards the wall, lift and lower with that inside foot, because obviously, depending on the angle, so obviously now we're leaning out of that, on the outside of that ankle, before we were leaning on the inside of this one. So it's going to challenge the calves, all the tendons and ligaments around that area differently. Keep the hips pressing in towards the wall. Good, up and down. So you might find one more challenging than the other. Let's go for 10. Keep the hips pressing into the wall. 3, 2, 1. Come back. Shake it off. Same thing, we're going to go the other way now. So turn to face the other side. Same thing, hand on the wall, play around with the distance, but making sure that you take that lean into the wall. Okay, so hips go with you. And then from there we start with the weight on the outside leg, lift and lower. Keep the hips pressing in. And again, you could have the weight on your outside hand if you wanted to add more challenge. Go up as high as you can. Keep the hips pressing into the wall. Good, for 10, 9. Keep the heels pressing up as high as you can go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shake it off. Last time on this inside leg. So weight comes up off the outside leg. Lean into your wall with your hips and your arm. And then lift and lower on that inside. Good, all the way up, as high as you can get. Control it back down. Good, let's go for 10. And 1, come down, shake it off. Getting a nice burn in those calves. So last little one to finish, a little bit more dynamic with this one. We're going to take the weight to the outside leg, so turn around to face the first direction. Weight goes to the outside leg. We're going to step around and behind, almost like a curtsy squat with this inside leg. And then we're going to push towards the wall. Rest on the wall and then push back. So the foot is facing parallel to the floor. And then we're pushing off on one side, driving into the wall. So try to use the foot, this outside foot, and you're pushing yourself towards the wall as you come up. So you push and power forwards and into the wall. Good. Push and back. Push and back. Good. It's a little harder to use weights with this one, but you could use one in one hand if you're very careful with the other one to catch yourself. Good, let's go for 10, 9, 8, 7. Remember, really push off this foot you're leaning on. Drive yourself into the wall. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, lovely little burn. Turn around, face the other way. So outside foot parallel to the floor, parallel to the wall even, and then step around and behind. Drive forward and into the wall. Round and behind, forward into the wall. So as you come forward, you push up off the toes into the wall. Good, really drive forward off that foot. Good, let's go for 10. Push forward. Lift the heel, drive off the toes. Good, 4 more. And 1. Good, shake it off. Nice work. Well done.